Hello everyone, I'm here today with a new process video and I am starting a new album. I have a black 3x8 album here and I bought this from, I can't remember if it was Ali Edwards or Studio Calico. I think it was Studio Calico. They were having a sale on stuff because they're moving away from so much scrapbooking stuff now. And so I thought, well, I like the 3x8 size, sure, I'll buy it. And I got a little surprised because when it came, I didn't look. If there were more pictures than just this, I didn't look at them. So when I opened it, look what's on the inside. I freaking love this. So this is one where even if I get tired of what I'm doing right now, if I take this project out after a couple years, I will reuse the album because I absolutely love this. But anyway, so I'm going to do my Chicago day trip from November 1st, 2025 in this album. So my friend Robin and I, she lives in St. Louis. You've seen her stuff on here because I link her videos sometime. Actually, I'll link her video for this trip here if I remember. Hopefully I remember. We met in Chicago. We got in about 9 in the morning. We flew in. We spent all day and then we flew out. I think our flights left around 7:30 p.m. if I remember correct. So we had a very, very full day. We're in Chicago a lot. We're used to moving around. So we just kind of made a list of what we wanted to do. We knew logistically how to take the trains and buses to get where we needed to be. And we fit in a lot of stuff that day. So that's what you're going to see here. You can see I've dropped in some things, but they're just kind of hanging out. So like this is a collage photo that I made, but it's not in the album. It's a little too big. It's 4x6. So I have to trim down the edges to get it in there. So I have a couple of those. But I have most of my photos dropped in here that I want. So then it's really just picking out my cards and embellishing. But first things first, I have to do the title page. So I do have a bin of stuff that's for Chicago and New York. I made it its own bin because I'm in both of those cities so much. It just made sense to just keep that stuff together and available at all times. So I've pulled out a bunch of my Chicago stuff here. I do have this stamp set. I actually have another one. Why is that not in here? It probably is in the bin, but it's probably buried under some New York stuff. But I at least have this set that's all related to Chicago, so I probably would do some stamping. And then I have just a bunch of things that are either Chicago specific, like this. It's the Hancock Building. So that's clearly Chicago. This is Chicago too. This is like the Navy Pier area, and this is where the Adler Planetarium and the Shed Aquarium is right here. It's like I have some things that are specific to Chicago, but then I have some other things that are just, like city grid. I always keep this in there because of Buckingham Fountain. Like city grids here that I have. A couple of those. This looks like subway lines for the L. That kind of stuff. So I'm just going to look through here and see like what of these might... I love this paper. I don't think I've used this yet. What's on the other side? Yeah, I don't think I've used it yet for anything. I cut most of my 12x12 papers down to 6x12. And then just stash them that way because I don't do 12x12 anymore. So I know whatever I'm doing, it's a smaller size. And then I have this sticker sheet that still has some Chicago things left on it. So between all of that, I will make my opening page from some of this stuff. I've decided to use this paper. I thought about this one, but if you look at it, you can see like the trees are fully green here and they're down by the lake and the water. This is definitely not how it looked in November. This is more of a spring, summer type look here for Chicago. So I'm going to save that. Like I said, I'm there a lot. It'll get used. So I'm going to use this one. However, I think I'm going to be a little creative in how I cut it here. Obviously, it's 6x12. I think I'm actually going to cut off 2 inches here first and save that because that gives me part of the city grid. But then I have the rest of this to work with. Then I think I'm going to cut down that 4x12 that's left and get a 3x8 out of that section. Hopefully that makes sense. Just because what actually shows up here, I want it to be strategically placed. We'll just say that. So let's do the 2 inches off from the left-hand side right away. I can get that done. There we go. Yeah. All right. So that leaves me with kind of a fun city grid that I know is Chicago. I can use it in 2x2 pockets. I do have some page protectors where they have a 2x8 slot. If I were doing a 6x8 album, this would also work in that regard. So I'm not going to dump it. I'm going to keep it. But then here I have to figure out, okay, I've got to cut down to 3 inches. It's probably going to be an inch off the right side, because if I go more over here, you won't be able to tell what it is. Like, to me, at least, looking at Chicago, I know this is Navy Pier. Just from the way it's laid out, I know this is the Adler, the Shed, museum campus area here. Now, I don't need all that because I wasn't down there during this time. So I think I probably will do the top 8 inches, and then I'll just cut off a little bit from the right-hand side. All right, I'm trying to be smart about how I cut this down. So since I have 4 inches left, I do also have pages that are 4x8. So it makes more sense for me to cut at 8 inches first and keep the 4x4 or 4x8 piece, sorry. So there's 8 inches. That's kind of perfect because if I cut it here, it leaves me that whole museum campus area down here. That's kind of awesome, actually, because then I could cut it down to the 3, and it's like a card by itself. Oh my gosh, I'm going to do that right now. I'm so excited. I could definitely use that for a later trip. Look at that. And I don't even lose anything. It's just all gray. That is pretty perfect, if I do say so myself. I cut down the remaining piece I had from 4x8 to 3x8. So here it is. Here's the piece that's actually going to go in the album, so you can see that. It'll sit just like that. So awesome. Now I have to figure out, do I want to stamp? Do I want to use some stickers? The other thing is, this was very fall themed. Mostly what we were doing there was looking at Halloween decorations, because we had heard that Gold Coast area had a ton, and they did, and oh my God, did we find the best stuff there. So I definitely have that, and I'm wondering if I should kind of put some fall stuff on here or not. I could just leave it, because I think the next page I'm actually going to have a 3x8 card that has some journaling spots on it, and so then I could just write about why we were there. So I don't know, we'll see. But I'm starting with this. I'm going to at least consider the stamping and the stickers. I think I'm going to use a sticker that was on here, and it's this one. I like the bright against how muted this is. This is very neutral, very flat, kind of boring, if I'm honest. But if I had this, that will lighten it up a little bit. But I think in order to do that, I have to bring in those colors in some other way. So I'm thinking the green, because purple is another dark color against this, whereas green is brighter. I do have that same green here. I could use this in some way. But I think I'm going to put this here and then probably get a label. Should I do the label in purple or orange? Maybe orange. That's very fall themed as well. Actually, all these colors are. Come to think of it, I do have green, purple, and orange in all of the stuff. You know what? I'll just use this as my guide. I'll pull out a label so I can do my date on there and maybe work in the green pennant thing here. But we'll start with this. All right, I have an orange label. I think I'm going to layer it like this, and then I'll just cut off what I don't need. And then I will use that green pennant up top. Maybe could I fit it in right here and have it pointing downward, because that's kind of a triangle right there. That might work. All right, once I started looking at this, I decided I wanted to keep the whole label rather than have it hanging off the edge. So I wrote out a longer form of the date. I was just going to do 11/1/25. I decided to write it kind of out more longhand here. And then I'm just going to overlap this right like that. And I'm okay that it covers up a little bit here. That's fine. I'm not losing anything with the design. So now I have that. And then move these out of the way here. All my extra labels I was looking through there. So I have that. Now I can take off this green pennant. Let's see how it would look if I went like that. Oh, I kind of like it right in that spot, because then this mimics the design of what you're seeing here. So I'm going to go as centered as possible. in that space. Let's see. Yeah, I think that works. I am going to put in a little staple up top, up here. Pretty much in the middle. Do I need one down here? No. No, I don't think I do. Is that enough? Do I need to add anything else? I think this is kind of enough. I was thinking, oh, do I need like a purple enamel dot or something? I could do that, but I don't think I need it. Sometimes less is more, and I think this is one of those cases. So you know what? I think my opening page for Chicago is done. Thanks for watching.